This season begins with Joe back in New York, where it all began, with his lovely wife, Kate. His coming home was thanks to Kate, who had resources to make his past go away, and he was able to come back home as himself, Joe Goldberg. She was also able to get back his son without any fuss, and she loved him like her own. He is proud of how Henry can feel safe and loved in a way he never could as a child. Fame, for him, took some getting used to, as he had been labeled as Prince Charming, and they had become America's favorite couple. At an event they went to, they came across a councilman that tried to extort Kate. Joe, being Joe, wanted to do something about it, but Kate reminds him that they came to New York to help each other do good, and she can fight her own battles. While giving a speech with her husband by her side, Kate has the company committing to something so generous that they can't go back on it without the permission of the board. This makes the board go crazy, and no one would be more infuriated than Reagan, Kate's half-sister, who was the favorite to take on the CEO role before Kate came on board. Reagan's twin sister, Maddie, on the other hand, is totally unbothered. Joe and Kate go to dance and are interrupted by Uncle Bob, the COO, who takes Kate away from Joe for business purposes. Joe goes to get a drink, and Teddy comes over to share a toast with him. Teddy is Kate's brother from an affair with the maid, so he wasn't really welcomed into the family until Kate brought him in and hired him as chief of staff, which makes him forever grateful to Kate. He reveals to Joe that his friend at Forbes gave him a heads up that they're brewing a hit piece about Kate. Joe seemed uninterested until he mentions that the piece would be about a pipeline she approved some years ago, the same pipeline that gave kids cancer. Joe tells Teddy not to tell Kate anything yet, so that it doesn't ruin her night. On a run, Joe is telling himself that he may have no choice but to find who is behind this hit piece and kill the person, only the person. He stops in front of Mooney's, his old bookshop. He opens it, enters, and is reminiscing about the memories he has about the place. When Mr. Mooney died, Kate spent a lot of money to buy the building for him, but he didn't even open the building. There were too many memories. He recently agreed to put it up for sale, as it's something he needs to move on from. He gets a text from Teddy that there is more info on the article. Back at the house, Teddy informs Joe that whatever the article is about, it is big, and it could ruin them. He asks Joe what exactly Kate did, and Joe tells him that somebody's hand had to get dirty in the pipeline approval, and unfortunately, that somebody happens to be Kate. They decide to keep this between them. They go to question Reagan, as it has to be someone in the company that leaked the article, and she is the most obvious suspect. Reagan either plays dumb or knows nothing about it, so they leave her office, more like she chased them out of her office. Joe doesn't think she is the source and wants to speak to Maddie to find out what she knows. He uses the fact that she is always flirting with him to his advantage. He has a normal conversation with her, and when she goes to refill drinks, he checks her phone and sees a suspicious group message where someone calls them little ladies. The only person he knows that can say something like that is Uncle Bob. He goes back home and tells Kate that a story about the pipeline is brewing. He tells her that it is Uncle Bob, and he is trying to get rid of her, but she doesn't believe him. She asks him why she is just hearing about it, and he tries to explain that he needed to get more information before coming to her about it. She tells him that she'll handle it, and he wants to help, but she says he's done enough, and she'll take it from here. He reawakens the old Joe and goes outside to capture Uncle Bob. Kate wakes up from sleep and finds that her husband is not on the bed with her. She checks her phone and sees that he is in the Mooney's building. Joe ties up Uncle Bob, and he admits that he is the one that leaked the article to the reporters. He begs Joe to let him go so he can still stop the article, but Joe drives a knife into his throat and kills him. Kate gets into one of the rooms in the building and finds out that Joe did not actually kill Uncle Bob, but he was writing about it. She asks him why he's writing about murder as though he relishes it, and he admits that writing that makes him feel exhilarated. She goes home while he enters the store to keep the book he wrote. He notices a movement at the back of the bookstore and grabs a weapon to confront the person. He finds a girl running away with a book, and she explains that she just climbed in through the window to borrow a book, as they were lying there helplessly with no one to read them. She recognizes him as the media's Prince Charming, and he lets her go with the book after she promises not to break in again. Kate confronts Uncle Bob the next day, and he admits that he is the one that leaked the secret to the reporter. He said he did it because she was doing too much, and he had to burn her for it. She tells him that she'll survive this, but he says he knows that she covered the murder of Reese Montrose in London. At home, she tells Joe that he was right about Bob. She also says that she thinks that if she tries to fight him, he will keep digging and eventually find out about the details of Reese Montrose's death. She says they need to protect themselves, even at the cost of their promise. In other words, she is asking Joe to kill Bob, and he could not be happier. Joe goes over to Bob's house and meets him asleep. He uses a rope to strangle Bob and hangs him so that it would look like a suicide. He then sends an email to all interested parties confessing that he made up a lie about Kate, regretted it, and retracted it before hanging himself. Joe makes a stop at his studio to have a change of clothes, and he finds out that someone is in the store again. He opens it and finds the same girl, Bronnie. She returns the book and tries to leave, but because he likes the way she feels about books, he offers her a job there, and she is excited about the idea of working there. He goes home to meet Kate and is happy that even after showing her this version of him, they still felt closer than ever. He plans to open up Mooney's bookshop again and gives Bronnie the keys. Finding out that Kate accepted him at his worst gave him confidence to become both the new Joe and the old Joe. I have a feeling that since Kate has co-signed his killing, there will be a lot of killings in this season. Stay tuned for the next episode.